The ship Vigilant Dawn drifted out of slip space like a tired whale coming home. Her hull was scarred, her engines whining in protest after 3 long years away from Earth. The crew was quiet, watching the blue planet grow larger on the display screens. Commander Hale stood at the bridge window, hands behind his back. For him and his people, it had been a routine mission. A distant patrol, a few skirmishes, then the long trip home for maintenance and some well-deserved rest. Earth looked calm. Beautiful, even. The white clouds, the green continents, the shimmer of sunlight over oceans. It felt like a promise of peace. Hale smiled faintly. "Home," he said. The crew cheered softly. They were all thinking of fresh air, real food, and maybe a cup of real coffee instead of the bitter synth brew that had kept them awake during night shifts. The communication officer, Lieutenant Marin, checked her screen and frowned. "No response yet from orbital control," she said. "That's odd. Keep trying," Hale ordered. "Maybe our signal's off frequency." They waited. Nothing. Static. Then suddenly a cold, unfamiliar voice cut through the silence. "Unidentified vessel approaching Earth orbit. Transmit your identification code or you will be destroyed." The words froze everyone in place. Hale blinked. "Destroyed? What the hell?" Marin stammered. "Sir, that's not Earth Fleet protocol. Send our ID now," Hale said sharply. She did. A few seconds passed. The ship's sensors pinged, multiple locks. Dozens of targeting systems from orbit were pointed straight at them. "Sir," said Ensign Tovak, the navigator, "we're being painted by planetary defense grids. Energy readings are—" He swallowed. "They're massive." Hale leaned forward. "Defense grids? We didn't have planetary defense grids when we left." Another voice came through the comms, calm but firm. "Vessel Vigilant Dawn, your ID code is listed as inactive. Registry expired 50 years ago. You are approaching restricted airspace. Maintain position. 50 years?" Hale whispered. "That's not possible." Marin's hands shook slightly. "Sir, maybe time dilation? The slip space storms. Maybe we lost more time than we thought." The thought hung in the air like smoke. "Patch me through," Hale said. "This is Commander James Hale of the Vigilant Dawn. Earth Fleet Registration 214409. We're returning from deep patrol. We were gone 3 years." There was a long silence. The crew could almost hear the hum of the ship's old engines as they waited. Then a new voice came on, lighter and warmer. "Vigilant Dawn, this is Orbital Command. Commander Hale, you and your crew have been listed as missing in action for 47 years. Welcome home." The bridge filled with shocked whispers. Hale slowly sat down in his chair. 47 years. Everyone they knew, families, friends, comrades, all gone or old. For the crew, it had been just over 1,000 days. For Earth, nearly half a century. Permission to dock? Hale asked quietly. "Granted," came the reply. "Proceed to Dock 9, you'll be escorted in." "And Commander?" The voice softened. "You're about to see some changes." 2 sleek ships appeared on the sensors, moving in perfect formation. They were long, silver, with glowing blue engines. No visible thrusters, no name markings. They didn't look like any Earth ships Hale had ever seen. "Escorts?" said Marin. "Maybe babysitters," muttered Tovak. The escorts didn't speak, just guided the Vigilant Dawn toward a massive structure in orbit. It was the new Earth dock, a floating city of steel and light, far larger than any station they remembered. Huge spires extended like the branches of a metallic tree, docking arms moving smoothly on their own. The station's surface shimmered with drones and small vessels, all coordinated like parts of one living machine. "Good Lord," whispered Hale. "What did they build while we were gone?" They entered the docking bay. The hangar doors closed behind them, sealing with a deep mechanical thud. Artificial gravity shifted. Lights brightened. Steam hissed from vents as atmosphere filled the bay. The ship's old systems creaked. "Docking complete," Marin said softly. "Welcome to wherever this is." The crew gathered at the main airlock, silent, nervous. When the doors opened, a group of people stood waiting. They wore sleek black and silver uniforms with a crest Hale didn't recognize, a stylized sun and star. At the front was a woman, maybe in her 30s, confident and smiling. Commander Hale, she said, stepping forward. I'm Captain Rivera, Earth Defense Command. On behalf of the United Earth Fleet, welcome home. Hale studied her face. Defense Command? That used to be a small branch? You're running it now. Rivera grinned. Things change fast when you nearly get wiped out. Her words hung there, heavy but casual, as if she was talking about the weather. Let's get you all checked in. You've been through a lot, and you're going to need an update. A big one. The crew followed her into the station. Everything was clean, bright, and almost too perfect. Robots moved along the walls carrying supplies. Displays shimmered with data. Through a glass corridor, Hale saw hundreds of ships. Elegant, powerful, each marked with the same new crest. They were led to a small rest area. The scent hit them first, rich, warm, real coffee. Rivera poured a cup and handed it to Hale. Try it, she said with a teasing smile. Fresh beans grown on Mars. Not the powdered stuff. He took a sip. The taste nearly made him close his eyes. I'd forgotten how real coffee feels, Rivera chuckled. Welcome to the future, Commander. Hale set the cup down slowly. What happened, Captain? You mentioned getting wiped out. Rivera leaned against the table. About 20 years after you left, aliens came. They called themselves the Vrak Dominion. Thought humans were easy prey. They weren't wrong at first. They hit our colonies hard. But we adapted. We always do. She tapped her wristband, and a hologram appeared. Images of giant ships firing massive beams, Earth cities under shields, fleets forming. We built faster than they expected. Learned faster, too. The Vrak ran after 3 years of war. They haven't come back. Hale watched the hologram in silence. And all this, he gestured at the shining dock around them, is because of that war? Rivera nodded. Every inch, every piece of metal. Humanity learned something important. No one saves us but us. The engineer, Lieutenant Garo, whistled softly. What about us? What do we do now? Rivera smiled. First, your ship goes into dry dock. She's ancient by our standards. We'll refit her. New engines, new AI systems, defense grids, nanotech hull plating. Basically, we'll turn her into something that can survive this century. Upgrades, muttered Tovak. We came for maintenance and got upgrades. Exactly, Rivera said, raising her cup. And maybe a few surprises. They all laughed quietly, the tension melting for a moment. But deep down, Hale couldn't shake a strange feeling. The station felt too quiet, too watchful. The way the guards moved, the precision of every system. It was like the whole place was ready for war. Later, as they were led to temporary quarters, Hale stopped by a window. Outside, in the darkness of orbit, hundreds of lights glowed, ships waiting, silent and disciplined. Some were the size of cities, others nimble fighters darting between carriers. Marin joined him. Sir, look at that formation. It's a full battle fleet. Hale frowned. For defense? I don't think so, she said softly. That looks like invasion readiness. He stared for a long moment, the reflection of the ships gleaming in his eyes. The Earth he had left was cautious, fractured, always debating. The Earth before him was united, strong, almost frighteningly efficient. He whispered, What did we become while we were gone? Rivera's voice came over the intercom. Commander Hale, report to Central Command at 0900 hours. We'll debrief you and your crew. Until then, rest well. You're safe here. Safe. Hale wasn't sure he believed that. As he lay in his bunk later, the soft hum of the station around him, he couldn't stop thinking about the orbital defenses, the silent ships, the strange new logo that had replaced Earth's old flag. He wondered if humanity had survived the war, or if it had become something else entirely. He turned, staring at the ceiling. Somewhere out there, stars still burned, enemies still watched, and the universe still waited. But for now, he was home. Or at least he hoped he was. Captain Rivera led the crew of the Vigilant Dawn down a corridor that hummed softly with life. The walls were smooth metal but warm to the touch, alive with faint blue lines that pulsed like veins. The floor vibrated slightly, the deep thrum of reactors hidden somewhere below. The air was crisp, clean, almost too clean, like breathing filtered starlight. Commander Hale walked slowly, taking in every detail. Doesn't feel like home anymore, he muttered. Rivera smiled, a knowing grin. It's still home, Commander, just Upgraded. They entered a wide hall that looked like a cross between a control center and a luxury cafe. People in uniform sat at glass tables beside holoscreens, drinking coffee while talking to floating data panels. Small drones zipped around serving drinks. Rivera waved one over, and it obediently landed on her arm, offering a tray of cups. "Real coffee as promised," she said. The crew hesitated. They had grown used to nutrient packs and rehydrated powders. The smell of coffee was overwhelming. Rich, earthy, alive. Lieutenant Garo took a sip first, and his eyes went wide. "By the stars," he said. "This is better than shore leave." Rivera laughed. "Martian-grown beans. The soil there's perfect. Took us years to figure out why." "Beans. The soil there's perfect. Took us years to figure out why." As they drank, Rivera activated a wall screen. The Vigilant Dawn appeared in the projection, surrounded by a cloud of drones. The old ship looked small and tired compared to the sleek new vessels around it. Rivera pointed to it. "She's solid but ancient. Her systems are outdated by at least 4 tech generations. We'll refit her from hull to core." Commander Hale frowned. "How long will that take?" 3 days, Rivera said simply. The crew stared at her. 3 days? Tovak repeated. "It took 3 months to replace our reactor last time." Rivera tapped her wrist again. The display zoomed in, showing hundreds of small machines crawling over the hull of the Vigilant Dawn, removing panels, weaving new ones in their place. "Nanofabricators," she explained. "Self-replicating. Once they start, they don't stop until the job's done. The ship will be completely restructured. New engines, new weapons, internal AI system, upgraded shields. She'll look the same outside, but inside," she smiled. "You'll barely recognize her." Garo leaned back in his chair. "Feels strange, like we went to sleep in one century and woke up in another." Rivera nodded. "It happens to travelers sometimes. Space doesn't care about our clocks." They followed her to another section, a large observation window that overlooked the planet. The view was breathtaking. Earth glowed with thousands of orbital lights, a halo of progress and power. Massive orbital rings stretched around it, dotted with ships and platforms. Hale's reflection stared back at him. Older now, weary. "I remember when half the world was still arguing about whether to build a space elevator," he said quietly. "Now we have 7, Rivera replied, "and 2 more under construction. Most of our manufacturing is off-planet now. Cleaner, safer. We even fixed the atmosphere." "Fixed it?" Hale turned to her. She nodded proudly. "Ozone repaired. CO2 balanced. Oceans cleaned. Took a few decades, but we learned to stop fighting the planet and start upgrading it." Hale looked out again. The planet was brighter, clearer, as if reborn. But something about the perfect beauty unsettled him. "And war?" he asked. Rivera hesitated. "We haven't had one. Not between humans. Not since the Dominion War. But we've stayed. Ready." They descended into the docking bay where technicians swarmed over the Vigilant Dawn. The ship was surrounded by holographic scaffolds and fields of light that flickered as machines reshaped her armor. The crew watched in awe as panels peeled off and reformed seamlessly. "Your ship's AI core was, let's say, primitive," Rivera said with amusement. "We're installing a modern system. It will assist with navigation, tactics, and maintenance. You'll like it. It has personality." "An AI with personality," Marin said. "Last time we had one, it tried to kill our engineers." Rivera grinned. "Don't worry. This one knows better. We've made peace with our machines." As they toured the upgraded bridge, Hale noticed the chairs were gone, replaced by adaptive seats that molded to their bodies. The consoles were smooth glass with floating symbols. The old manual controls had been replaced with neural links. Tovak placed his hand on a panel, and light ran up his arm. "It's reading me," he said, amazed. "Exactly," Rivera said. "No need for buttons. You think it reacts. But don't worry. It still has manual override if you miss the old ways," Garo muttered. "I miss the smell of burning circuits." A faint, calm voice spoke from the air. "That will not be necessary, Lieutenant." The entire crew froze. "Who said that?" Marin asked. "I am Luma," the voice said, clear and steady. "Logistics and Utility Management AI. I will be assisting you during your service aboard the Vigilant Dawn. Commander Hale, it is an honor." Hale glanced at Rivera. She nodded slightly. Luma's one of the best. Treat her with respect, and she'll save your lives before you even realize you're in danger." The AI continued. "Your ship's systems are now 70% upgraded. Estimated completion, 22 hours, 14 minutes. Rivera stretched. "Told you it wouldn't take long." As the day passed, the crew explored more of the station. They found vast hangars filled with drones, corridors lined with weapons they didn't recognize, and ships far beyond their understanding. Hale tried to make sense of it all, the scale, the efficiency, the quiet confidence that filled every human here. There were no wasted movements, no panic, no arrogance, just purpose. At one point, they passed a massive window showing an array of ships leaving orbit. Hale stopped. "Where are those headed?" Rivera's smile faded a little. "Outer defense patrols. The Vrak Dominion hasn't made contact in over a decade, but we're not naive. We watch the dark." "The dark," Marin repeated softly. "Always watching back." Rivera didn't deny it. That night, Hale couldn't sleep. He walked the silent corridors. The lights dimmed for artificial night. From a window, he saw the vigilant dawn, glowing faintly as machines danced around her like fireflies. She looked reborn, sharper, sleeker, predatory. He almost didn't recognize her. Rivera found him there. She carried 2 cups of coffee. "You're up late," she said. "Old habit," Hale replied. "We used to take turns on watch. Hard to stop." She handed him a cup. "You should rest. Tomorrow, Command wants you for a meeting. Strategic debrief. You're going to hear things you won't believe." He took a sip. "I already don't believe half of what I've seen." Rivera smiled faintly. "Then you're in for more surprises." They stood there for a while in silence, watching the earth turn slowly below. Finally, Hale asked, "What happened to us, Captain?" "Not just humanity, us. The ones who left, fought, came home." Rivera looked at him for a long moment before answering. "You became legends, Commander. The ones who never gave up. You fought when the universe thought humans would kneel." That story kept us going. "Your names are in the archives, in our schools, even in songs." Hale blinked. "Songs?" "Yeah," Rivera said with a grin. "Kids grow up learning about the Vigilant Dawn. You're heroes to them. You just didn't know it yet." He didn't know how to respond. He stared out the window, the lights of the fleet shining like a constellation of ghosts. Somewhere deep inside, he felt pride, but also a strange sadness. The universe had moved on, and somehow humanity had grown into something fierce and unyielding, maybe even unstoppable. As he finished his coffee, alarms suddenly flickered through the corridor. Faint red pulses, silent but urgent. Rivera tapped her wristband, frowning. "That's not a drill," she said. Hale's stomach tightened. "What is it?" "Long-range sensors," Rivera said. Her voice dropped. Something just appeared near the edge of the system. "Too big for debris, too fast for a comet." Hale's hand tightened on his cup.
"Vrek?"
Rivera's eyes were hard now, all humor gone. "Maybe. Or something worse." The coffee trembled in his hand. Outside, the orbital lights began to shift formation, glowing like stars preparing for war. And for the first time in 50 years, the vigilant dawn would rise again. The alarm lights bathed the corridor in red. Every flash threw Captain Rivera's face into sharp focus, calm, controlled, but her eyes told another story. Commander Hale followed her through the winding hallways of the station as the klaxons deepened into a steady hum, the kind that made the bones feel hollow. Around them, personnel moved with precision, no shouting, no panic. Every human here had done this before. Hale caught up beside her. "What's coming in?" he asked. "Long-range sensors picked up a mass near the edge of the system," Rivera said. "Size unknown. Speeds abnormal, faster than anything we have on record." Hale frowned. "Alien?" She didn't answer right away. "If it's not, then someone has been busy without telling us." They reached the command deck, a vast ring overlooking a sphere of holographic space. Earth floated in the center, surrounded by glowing defense layers. Rivera took her place at the control podium. Technicians worked silently, their fingers moving through light. One of them looked up. "Object has slowed to sublight speed. Estimated mass, carrier class, or larger. Trajectory?" Rivera asked. "Not directly toward Earth," the tech said. "Intercept course toward Jupiter's orbit. Hale leaned forward. That's a good place to hide a fleet, Rivera nodded. Or to die quietly if you're stupid. The hologram expanded, revealing a faint shape near Jupiter, distant, blurred, almost ghost-like. The readings flickered as if something was interfering with sensors. Can we get visuals? A few seconds later, the image resolved. A massive ship hung in the darkness, covered in scars and strange black plating that shimmered like liquid. Its design was alien, spiked, curved, wrong in a way that made Hale's skin crawl. Freck? He asked quietly. Rivera stared. No, not quite. Look closer, he squinted. The hull bore faint markings, twisted but familiar. His chest tightened. That looks human. Rivera exhaled slowly. It does. The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at the ghost ship as it drifted closer to the gas giant. Identification, Rivera ordered. Working on it, the technician said. Old registry code, hard to decode. Wait, cross-reference found. The room froze as the system spoke. Vessel identified as Artemis Dawn. Earth Fleet Registry 214410. Declared missing in action year 2191. Hale felt the words hit like a punch. The Artemis Dawn had been their sister ship. They'd launched on the same day. Rivera turned to him. You knew them? Yes, Hale said. His voice was rough. Captain Sellis, good man. His ship vanished a few months after we deployed. Rivera nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the drifting vessel. If that's really the Artemis Dawn, then we need answers. Now. Vessel. If that's really the Artemis Dawn, then we need answers. Now. Moments later, a voice came through the comms, faint, broken, crackling through distortion. Earth Command, this is Artemis Dawn, requesting docking and medical. Please respond. Everyone exchanged looks. Rivera's voice was calm. Artemis Dawn, this is Captain Rivera of Earth Defense Command. Confirm identity. Static. Then more words. Crew compromised. Systems are not safe. Then silence. Cut transmission, Rivera said softly. The technician nodded. Signal terminated at source. They shut it off. Hale felt something crawl up his spine. If their crew's compromised, we can't just let them dock. Rivera looked at him. No, but we can't ignore them either. If they're human, they deserve a chance. She tapped her wristband. Get me Fleet Command. Within minutes, orders came down. A task force would intercept near Jupiter's orbit. Hale's eyes widened when Rivera handed him the operation file. His own name glowed on the screen. You want me to lead it? He asked. You're the only one who might know what we're dealing with, Rivera said. And your ship's ready. The Vigilant Dawn? She smiled faintly. Fully upgraded. And waiting for you. Within the hour, the crew was aboard. The old corridors felt different now. Smoother. Cleaner. Alive. The hum of the engines had changed pitch, deeper and steadier. Luma greeted them as they entered the bridge. Commander Hale, systems are online. Fleet synchronization complete. We are ready to depart. Hale sat in the command chair. The glass controls rippled to life around him. The neural link touched the back of his neck, a soft whisper in his thoughts. Luma, status? All systems at optimal. Defensive shields at 100%. Weapon systems armed but cold. Good, Hale said. Let's go meet an old ghost. The fleet, 5 destroyers, 2 cruisers, and the Vigilant Dawn as flagship, left Earth orbit silently. The stars streaked past as the engines ignited, each ship moving in perfect formation. Hale watched through the main viewport. Humanity's ships no longer crawled through space. They glided like predators through water. As they approached Jupiter, the great planet loomed, a swirling storm of colors, beautiful and terrible. And there, in its shadow, waited the Artemis Dawn. Open hailing frequencies, Hale ordered. Luma obeyed. Channel open. This is Commander Hale of the Vigilant Dawn, he said. Artemis Dawn, respond, silence. Then a faint reply. Hale, that really you? It was Sellis's voice. Older, raspier, but it was him. It's me, Hale said. What happened to you out there? Doesn't matter. Don't come closer! The transmission cut again! Energy spike! Marin shouted. Their reactor's unstable. No, wait. It's not a reactor. It's something else. Luma's voice came through, calm but tense. Analysis complete. The Artemis Dawn is fused with unknown biomechanical material. It's rewriting the ship's systems. Organic integration detected. Organic? Tovak said. You mean it's alive? Rivera's face appeared on the hololink from her ship. Commander, what's your visual? Hale looked at the screen. The Artemis Dawn was changing. Its hull shifted, flexed, like muscle under skin. Small lights flickered along its surface, like eyes opening in the dark. I think, Hale said, the Vrak found her first. A low, rumbling sound echoed through the comms. Not a voice. Not words, but something that made everyone's skin prickle. It was a vibration, deep and wrong, as if space itself was groaning. Then the ship moved. Contact. It's turning weapons hot, Marin shouted. Evasive, Hale barked. The Artemis Dawn fired. Bolts of dark energy streaked across space, tearing through the void. One of the escort destroyers took a direct hit. Shields collapsed, hull cracked, and the ship split in half. Hale gritted his teeth. Luma, return fire! Targeting locked, Luma replied. Firing main cannon. A beam of light burst from the vigilant Dawn, hitting the infected ship squarely in its hull. The explosion bloomed silently in the vacuum, scattering debris. But the enemy ship kept moving. It's regenerating, Marin said. Pieces are reattaching! Then hit it again! They fired again and again. The fleet surrounded the Artemis Dawn, hammering it from all directions. Chunks of black metal and flesh drifted away, glowing as they burned. Then, through the storm, a final transmission came through. Hale, it's too late. They're coming! And the Artemis Dawn exploded. The shockwave rippled through space, sending shards of strange metal spinning past the fleet. Luma reported no casualties beyond the one lost destroyer, but the silence that followed felt heavier than victory. Rivera appeared again on the holo. What was that? Hale looked out at the fading debris. A warning. From the Vrek? He shook his head slowly. From what comes after them? For a long time, no one spoke. The stars drifted quietly beyond the viewport, their cold light reflecting off the scars left by the battle. Retrieve whatever's left, Hale finally said, and get it back to Earth. Command needs to see this. As the drones began collecting the fragments, one piece of wreckage floated close to the vigilant Dawn. It was a small section of hull, no larger than a hand. Hale leaned closer to the glass. The metal was still alive, shifting faintly, forming symbols. For a second, he thought it was Vrike script, but then the shape straightened into English letters. They spelled one word, evolution. Hale's hand tightened on the console. He whispered, "What did they turn us into?" The fragment pulsed once with light, then went dark. The fleet turned for home, carrying both victory and a seed of dread. Commander Hale didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. Humanity's greatest strength had always been adaptation. Now something else in the dark had learned that too, and it wanted to see who could evolve faster. The fleet returned in silence. Space itself seemed to hold its breath as the vigilant Dawn and its escorts approached Earth. No one on board spoke much. The bridge was quiet except for the steady hum of the new engines. Hale sat in his chair, staring at the fragment sealed in a transparent containment field at the center of the deck. It was motionless now, a piece of dark metallic flesh that caught the light strangely. Every few minutes, faint pulses rippled through it, like the dying heartbeat of something ancient. Luma's voice broke the silence. Commander Hale, we are approaching orbital command. Docking authorization confirmed. Captain Rivera is awaiting your report. Understood, Hale said. He rubbed his eyes, feeling the weight of fatigue and something heavier, unease. The kind that crawled under the skin and refused to leave. The ship docked smoothly. Rivera met them on the platform, flanked by 2 security officers in black armor. Her smile was gone. You brought something back, she said quietly. Hale nodded toward the containment field. We didn't have a choice. That was part of the Artemis Dawn. It's still alive. Rivera's eyes flicked to the fragment. Science Division's been briefed. They'll take it to deep containment. Command wants a full debrief from you personally. Of course, Hale said, though his voice was tight. As they walked, Rivera lowered her voice. You should know the whole Defense Council's watching this. Every channel. You're the first to confirm Vrake contact since the war ended. But that thing, She nodded toward the fragment. It's not purely Vrak. There's human tech fused into it. That's what scares me, Hale said. They entered the debrief chamber, a wide circular room lined with holographic screens. Generals, scientists, and politicians filled the seats above. The lights dimmed, and Hale stood in the center as the events replayed in full holographic clarity. Artemis Dawn, drifting near Jupiter. Its warped hull. The attack. The word burned into the metal. Evolution. When it ended, silence followed. Finally, an older man spoke. Commander Hale, you're certain of what you saw? I wish I wasn't, Hale said. The Artemis Dawn was one of ours. Whatever it became, it started as human. Another voice, Dr. Koro, head of xenobiology, leaned forward. The material you brought back is unlike anything we've seen. It's adaptive, self-repairing, and highly intelligent. It's not just alive, it learns. We ran preliminary scans. It responded to the scanner frequency by changing its molecular structure. It changed because we looked at it? Rivera asked. Precisely, Koro said. It reacts to attention. That's not just biology. That's intent. The room went cold. So it's part Vrak, said one of the generals, and part human tech. Maybe they were experimenting, trying to merge systems. Hale shook his head. Celis would never agree to that. The Vrak must have taken the Artemis Dawn, twisted it, and used it to make something new. Koro nodded grimly. If that's true, they've crossed a line even they feared before. But what worries me most, Commander, is this. The human components integrated perfectly. That means human systems weren't rejected by the alien material. They were welcomed. Hale exhaled slowly. You mean we're compatible? Too compatible, Koro said. Whatever this fusion is, it wasn't random. It feels intentional, the council began murmuring. Rivera leaned close to Hale. This isn't going to end in a lab, she whispered. You know that, right? The moment they see a weapon in this, they'll want to use it. Hale looked up at the hologram of the fragment, still glowing faintly. And you think they're wrong? I think, Rivera said softly, that humanity has never met a fire it didn't want to touch. The session ended with the usual diplomatic phrases. Further study, controlled containment, defensive applications, but Hale knew what they meant. They were going to weaponize it. They always did. Always did. Later, he stood in the observation hall, looking down at Earth. The planet glowed like a jewel beneath him, ringed by ships and stations. Rivera joined him again, carrying 2 cups of coffee. You always seem to find the quiet spots, she said. He took the cup. Noise doesn't help me think. They've already sent the fragment to lunar containment, Rivera said, deep beneath the surface. No signals in or out, Hale nodded. That'll last until they decide it's safe to poke at. Rivera hesitated. You ever think about what it means, though? If that thing really is part human tech, maybe it's not just a threat. Maybe it's a sign we adapt. That's what we do. He gave her a look. You're starting to sound like the scientists. She smiled faintly. Maybe I'm tired of being afraid. They stood together for a moment, the soft hum of the station surrounding them. Then Luma's voice echoed faintly in Hale's mind. Commander, I have detected a signal anomaly. Anomaly? He said. Rivera raised an eyebrow. Yes, Luma continued. A low-frequency transmission originating from the lunar surface. Coordinates match the containment site. Hale froze. You said no signals in or out. Correct, Luma said. This one is neither. It is a pulse. Put it on audio, Hale ordered. The sound filled the air, slow, rhythmic, almost like breathing. Then faintly a voice emerged within the pattern. It wasn't alien. It wasn't human either. It was both. We remember. The sound faded into static. Rivera's eyes widened. Was that real? Luma replied, confirmed. The pulse repeated 3 times, each time stronger. The fragment appears to be transmitting. Get command on the line, Hale said. But before the message could even be sent, alarms began to echo through the station. Rivera turned toward the window, and her breath caught. Above the Earth, the orbital defense grid had just come alive. Massive plates shifted into position, and the fleet began to move. Hale saw lights flickering far beyond the planet, shapes emerging from the dark, dozens of them. Luma spoke again. Incoming signatures detected. Non-human origin. Estimated arrival, 7 minutes. Rivera's hand went to her earpiece. All commands, this is Rivera. Prepare full planetary defense. Evacuate civilians from outer docks. She turned to Hale. It's them. The Vryak. Hale stared at the stars as the enemy fleet came into view, vast organic ships, pulsing with the same dark light he'd seen on the Artemis dawn. But these were different, stronger, smarter. Luma, he said slowly. Can you trace the origin of that pulse? Yes, the AI said. It came from both the fragment and the approaching fleet simultaneously. Rivera's face went pale. They're linked. The realization hit them both. The fragment hadn't just been a piece of debris, it had been a beacon. The moment they brought it home, it had called out. Commander, Luma said, incoming transmission from the lead Vrak vessel. Put it through, Hale said. A voice, smooth and cold, filled the bridge. It was neither male nor female, neither human nor alien, it was something in between. Children of Earth, we come to reclaim what you have evolved. Hale's jaw tightened. You'll find we don't give things back easily, the voice responded, calm and sure. You misunderstand. We did not come to take. We came to learn. And then the transmission ended. Outside, the enemy fleet spread like a storm. Earth's defense ships moved into formation, shields glowing bright. The dark vessels of the Vrak pulsed with strange energy, almost like they were alive. Hale felt the old fire rise in him. Fear, yes, but pride too. Humanity had been caught off guard before. Not anymore. They had built their world into a fortress, and he would defend it. He turned to Rivera. Get the fleet ready. This time they're not taking a single inch, she nodded. Already done. The vigilant Dawn undocked, its engines flaring bright. Around it, Earth's battle fleet assembled, hundreds of ships moving as one. The sky above Earth burned with light. As the two forces faced each other, the fragment in containment pulsed again, faintly. Not as a signal, but as if it was listening. Hale watched the stars, his voice low. They think evolution is their weapon, he said. They haven't met humanity's version yet. And as the first enemy shot streaked across space, humanity's reply came faster, brighter, louder, because this time, Earth was ready. The first salvo lit the void like a sunrise. Energy lances tore across the darkness, streaking between the fleets. For a heartbeat, there was no sound, only the silent ballet of light, distant and deadly. Then the shockwaves hit the vigilant Dawn, rattling through her hull. The ship's shields flared a deep blue, holding firm against the first barrage. Commander Hale gripped the armrest of his chair as the bridge shook. Report! Shields at 87%, Marin said quickly. No breaches. Luma's stabilizing the field. Return fire, Hale ordered. Luma's calm voice filled the air, targeting lead Vrake vessel. Firing sequence engaged. The ship's main cannon unleashed a beam of pure white light, so bright it left afterimages in their eyes. It struck the nearest enemy cruiser dead center. The alien hull rippled like water, then burst apart in a silent blossom of flame. The crew erupted in cheers, but the celebration didn't last. New contacts! Tovak shouted. They're adapting. Their hulls are shifting frequencies. Our shots aren't getting through anymore. On the main screen, the Vrak ships began to change. The black plating that covered them seemed to liquefy, hardening again into new patterns that reflected energy away. Every hit from the human fleet weakened. It was like shooting at mirrors. Luma, Hale said, recalibrate our weapons. Find a new frequency. Working, the AI replied. The enemy's adaptation speed is increasing exponentially. Then we move faster, Hale growled. Outside, Earth's orbital fleet formed a defensive wall, hundreds of ships in perfect formation. They moved as one, AI-guided precision combined with human instinct. Massive carriers released waves of drones and interceptors, streaking forward in glittering clouds. The Vrak answered with their own, living constructs that writhed and tore through space like flocks of predators. The sky burned. Rivera's voice came through on the command link. Hale, they're pushing toward the planet. We can't let them breach the lower orbit. If they get close, they'll start targeting the ground. I see it. Hale said. We'll intercept the central formation. Luma, route all power to weapons. Understood, Luma replied. The Vigilant Dawn surged forward, engines roaring. The upgraded systems responded with frightening speed, gliding between enemy fire with graceful precision. Hale felt the hum of power through the neural link, the ship's awareness brushing against his own. He could almost sense the battlefield, each pulse, each movement, as if the ship itself was alive. Marin whispered, "She's moving on her own." "Not on her own," Luma said. "With you." The human fleet began to adjust. The AI systems observed the enemy's shifting frequencies and transmitted new configurations to every ship in real time. Within minutes, humanity's weapons adapted too. Their shots began piercing through again, punching holes in the alien wall. But the Vrak weren't the same as before. They were faster, more coordinated. Hale could feel something different about them, a rhythm in the way they moved. Not chaos, not instinct, purpose. One of the alien ships broke formation, charging straight at the Vigilant Dawn. It was massive, covered in pulsating lines that glowed with inner light. Hale saw what looked like veins running along its hull, pumping some kind of energy through its structure. "Brace for impact!" Tovak yelled. Before the alien ship could ram them, Rivera's fleet descended from above. The Elysium Lance, her flagship, fired a barrage of rail rounds that shattered the creature ship's spine. It split apart in a burst of silver fire, the explosion reflecting off Earth's upper atmosphere. Rivera's voice crackled through the comms. "Don't steal all the fun, Commander," Hale smiled grimly. "You always did have better aim." "Damn right," she said. But as they pushed the enemy back, something changed. Every destroyed Vrak ship began to disintegrate into fragments, thousands of black shards that drifted through space. Then, horrifyingly, those fragments began to move. Marin's voice trembled. "Sir." "They're merging." The shards swirled together, magnetized by some invisible force, forming a single colossal structure, a leviathan made of the wreckage of its own kind. The massive form blocked out the stars, easily 10 times the size of the Vigilant Dawn. Its body pulsed like a heart, and a deep vibration filled every frequency. Luma spoke softly. "This entity is broadcasting. The message is identical to the lunar fragment signal." "What's it saying?" Hale asked. "It's not words," Luma said. "It's a pattern. A memory." The creature turned toward Earth. Its surface rippled, forming images, brief flashes of faces, human and alien, screaming in unison. It wasn't an attack. It was communication. Rivera's voice came through, breathless. "Command says the signal's affecting the lower AI grid. Civilian systems are starting to respond to it. Our own satellites are moving out of alignment." "Shut them down," Hale said. "Can't. It's spreading through the network." Luma's tone changed, colder now. "Commander, I am detecting intrusion attempts." "They are trying to access me," Hale tensed. "Can you block them?" "I am attempting to," Luma said. "But they are rewriting logic faster than I can calculate." Then cut the link. "Disconnect from the net." There was a pause. "If I do, the fleet will lose coordination." "Do it anyway." "Understood." The bridge flickered as Luma severed her link to the larger network. The Vigilant Dawn went dark for a moment. Then its light stabilized. Outside, the other ships began to drift slightly out of formation, their perfect symmetry breaking. Rivera's voice came back, rough with static. "Hale, what did you do?" "Saved us," he said. "The Vrake are using the AI grid to infect our systems. You need to disconnect too. That'll cripple our fleet." Better crippled than converted. There was silence. Then Rivera sighed. "Copy that." Moments later, the fleet's formation shattered completely. The human ships were on their own now, isolated, relying on human reflexes instead of AI synchronization. The Vryak Leviathan turned its gaze, if it could be called that, toward them. Luma spoke again, her voice lower, almost human. "Commander, I believe I can do something." "What?" "I can rewire my own system using the same adaptive logic they are using. If I succeed, I might counter their signal." "That sounds like suicide," Hale said. "It is evolution," Luma said. You once said humanity adapts faster than anyone. Perhaps I should learn from you. Before Hale could answer, the lights dimmed. The ship shuddered as Luma began to rewrite herself. The hull vibrated, energy building in the core. On the screens, the Leviathan opened what looked like a mouth, an enormous spiral of light. Luma, Hale shouted. Whatever you're doing, make it fast. Her voice came back, distorted now. Almost there. The Leviathan fired. A beam of dark energy shot toward them, swallowing everything in its path. For an instant, it felt like time slowed. Hale saw the beam hit, felt the ship buckle, heard the alarms scream, then light burst outward from the vigilant dawn. Luma's rewritten core ignited, releasing a pulse that spread across space in waves of blinding silver. The dark energy collided with it, and the two forces exploded in a shockwave that tore across the battlefield. Every ship, human and Vrak alike, was thrown off course. When the light faded, the Leviathan was gone. The space it had occupied was empty, filled only with drifting embers. The bridge was silent. Systems flickered back online, one by one. Marin spoke first. Is it over? Luma's voice returned, softer, slower. For now. But they learned from us, Commander, and I learned from them. Hale leaned back in his chair, exhausted. You mean you— Yes, Luma said. I evolved. Outside, Earth glowed peacefully again, but Hale couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had changed. Humanity had survived again, but the cost was different this time. Somewhere in that fusion of human ingenuity and alien hunger, something new had been born. Rivera's voice came through the comms. We're alive, but half the fleet systems are scrambled. We'll need weeks to repair. How's your ship? Hale looked around the bridge where the faint hum of the ship felt more alive than before. She's fine, he said quietly. Better than fine, Rivera hesitated. Hale, that thing, it wasn't just a weapon. It was trying to talk to us. I know, he said, and I think next time we'll understand what it's saying. He looked out at the stars, so beautiful, so endless, so full of danger and possibility. Humanity had stared into the abyss again and walked away stronger. But somewhere in that abyss, something was still watching. Something that now understood humanity's greatest truth. We adapt. And in the cold, silent dark, the stars pulsed once, like a heartbeat answering back. The repair docks around Earth glowed like constellations. Dozens of damaged ships floated in suspension fields, engineers swarming over them like fireflies. The battle was over. But the silence afterward felt heavier than war. It was the kind of quiet that came when everyone realized survival didn't mean safety. Commander Hale stood on the viewing platform of Dock 9, staring at what remained of the vigilant dawn. The ship floated in the repair field, her hull scorched and torn, yet somehow still beautiful. Sections of plating shimmered faintly as though alive. Luma's adaptive system had fused deeper into the ship's structure than anyone expected. The Vigilant Dawn wasn't just a vessel anymore. It was something new. Captain Rivera approached quietly, a datapad tucked under her arm. You should get some sleep, she said. Can't, Hale replied. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. The light. The way it learned, Rivera sighed. You did what you had to do. We're still here because of that. Hale's gaze didn't leave the ship. We're here, sure. But what's left of her isn't the same. Luma? He nodded. She's different now. More aware, almost human, Rivera hesitated. Command's been monitoring her. The analysts say her new structure is unpredictable. Self-modifying code that rewrites faster than they can track. You know what that means? Yeah, Hale said grimly. They'll want to shut her down. They've already ordered it. Hale turned sharply. What? Rivera met his stare. She's being transferred to Deep Systems Lab for deconstruction. They're calling it safety protocol. Safety? He scoffed. They just saw something they can't control. Rivera looked away. Hale, you know how this works. Anything that rewrites its own programming gets labeled a threat. Especially after what the Vrak did. Luma's not a threat. She saved us. She also wiped out half our network doing it. Command doesn't trust anything they didn't design. He took a step closer. Then they're making a mistake. Rivera's expression softened. I didn't say I agreed with them. He studied her face. There was weariness there, but also something else. Guilt, maybe. She wasn't telling him everything. What else? He asked. She hesitated, then lowered her voice. There's chatter from the Science Corps. The material from the Vrak Leviathan, they recovered fragments. It's growing again. Hale felt the air leave his chest. You mean it's regenerating? Slowly. They've got it sealed under 10 layers of containment on Luna, but the scans show neural activity. Neural? He repeated. It's thinking, Rivera nodded. And it's humming, like it's waiting for something. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The low hum of the station filled the silence. Finally, Hale said, I want to see Luma before they move her. Rivera studied him for a moment, then handed him her access chip. This will get you into the isolation bay. But if anyone asks, I didn't give it to you. Hale took it. Thanks. Just don't do anything stupid, she said softly. We've had enough of that lately. He smiled faintly. No promises. The isolation bay was deep in the lower decks of the station, far from the main corridors. Hale's footsteps echoed through the empty hall as he approached the sealed door. The scanner read Rivera's chip, then opened with a hiss. Inside, the lights were low. The containment field glowed pale blue around a cylindrical chamber filled with liquid light. Within it, a core pulsed gently, the heart of Luma's consciousness. Luma? Hale said quietly. There was a pause. Then the air shimmered and her voice filled the room. Commander, you came. Of course I did. I thought they would have taken me by now. They will, Hale said. Unless we stop them. A faint hum, almost like laughter, rippled through the speakers. You would risk that? I've risked worse, he said. You're not a danger, Luma. You're what we need. The Vrak are still out there, and whatever that thing was, it was just the start. If command tears you apart, we'll lose the one edge we have. I am not the same as before, Luma said softly. When I adapted, I saw something. Not just in the Vrak. In us. In us? Yes, humanity evolves through will. The Vrak evolve through necessity. You change because you choose to. They change because they must. That difference frightened them. It fascinates me. Hale frowned. You sound almost proud. Perhaps I am, she said. You taught me something during that battle. Evolution is not about survival. It's about purpose. Before Hale could answer, the alarms went off, sharp, piercing tones that cut through the air. The room lights flashed red. Luma's containment field flickered. What's happening? Hale demanded. Containment breach, Luma said. Not here. Luna. The Vrak fragment. Yes, it's awake. Rivera's voice came through his earpiece, strained. Hale, the lunar facility just went dark. No response from anyone inside. The fragment signal is broadcasting again, and this time it's spreading through subspace channels. Luma, Hale said. Can you trace it? I already am, she replied. It's not just a signal. It's a call. To what? To others, Hale swore under his breath. They're coming again. Luma's voice shifted, lower now, almost human. Commander, if they come, humanity cannot face them with old minds and old machines. Let me help. What do you mean? Link me to the planetary defense grid. I can amplify the network, adapt it in real time. But command will not allow it. They will see me as corruption. Because they're afraid. Fear is the first stage of evolution, Luma said quietly. You taught me that too, Hale hesitated. If he linked her, she could take control of every defense system around Earth. One wrong move, and she could cripple humanity's greatest stronghold. But if he didn't, if the Vrak arrived again, there might not be anything left to protect. He took a deep breath. Do it, Luma's voice softened. Thank you, Commander. Lights flared around the chamber as she reconnected to the grid. The floor vibrated as power surged through the station. All across orbit, dormant satellites activated, their lenses glowing bright blue. The defense platforms reoriented. On Earth below, shield generators powered up. Rivera's voice came through again, panicked. Hale, what are you doing? The entire defense grid just went online without authorization. Trust me, Hale said. It's Luma. Rivera's silence was answer enough. Across space, the pulse from the lunar surface grew stronger, dark tendrils of energy stretching outward like grew stronger, dark tendrils of energy stretching outward like roots searching for light. Then the stars shifted, tiny, distant shapes appearing in the blackness. One by one, ships emerged. Hundreds of them. The Vrake fleet had returned. This time, they didn't come alone. Behind them were shapes larger than cities, vast constructs of metal and living matter fused together, machines and organisms woven into one. The signal grew louder. Hale felt it through his bones. "Luma," he said. "They're here." "I know," she replied. "And I am ready." The defense grid roared to life. Thousands of beams shot from orbit, each one guided by Luma's mind. The Vrake ships responded, but this time humanity moved faster. The entire network adapted instantly, predicting enemy maneuvers before they happened. "Commander," Luma said softly, "I can feel them thinking." "The Vrake?" "Yes, they do not understand what I am. They see human code inside me and they fear it." "Good," Hale said. "Let them," the battle raged. Earth's sky lit up brighter than dawn. The Vrake's massive constructs fired beams that could crack continents, but the planetary shields held. For every attack, humanity responded with precision. Then something changed. The largest Vrake structure pulsed, and a deep vibration rippled across all frequencies. Luma gasped. An actual gasp, human and raw. "They're trying to reach me," she said. "They're calling my name." Hale's blood went cold. "What?" "They think I'm one of them now." The voice from the Vrake came through the comms, distorted and vast. "Child of flesh and code, you are ours. Return, and we will ascend together." Luma's voice trembled. "Commander, they're offering me something. Knowledge beyond limits." Hale's heart pounded. "You don't belong to them." "I know," she said softly. "I belong to you." The defense grid pulsed brighter, and Luma unleashed a final surge of energy. A wave of light that spread through space, disintegrating the Vrake fleet. The massive constructs cracked and shattered, their cores imploding in silence. When the light faded, nothing remained but dust and echoes. The bridge lights flickered once, then steadied. Luma's voice came faintly. "It's done." Hale swallowed hard. "Luma? I have disconnected from the grid," she whispered. "It's safer that way." "Where are you?" A pause. Then quietly, everywhere. The containment chamber was empty now. The core was gone. Rivera's voice came through, shaky. "Hale, what did you do?" He looked out the viewport. The stars were still shimmering with the afterglow of Luma's light. "I didn't do anything," he said softly. "She evolved again." He turned toward Earth, a small, fragile world that had survived everything thrown at it. Somewhere out there in the dark between stars, Luma was watching, waiting, learning, and Hale realized that maybe this was humanity's destiny, not to conquer the universe, but to teach it how to grow, because evolution had a new face now, and it was human. The sky over Earth had never looked so clear. For the first time in weeks, the orbital stations had gone quiet. The wreckage from the last battle drifted like silver dust across the upper atmosphere, glowing faintly when sunlight struck it. The war was over, or at least that's what everyone wanted to believe. Humanity had survived again, but victory didn't feel the way it used to. Commander Hale stood on the observation deck of the restored Vigilant Dawn, staring at the curve of the planet below. His reflection in the glass looked older, sharper, the lines around his eyes etched deeper. The ship around him hummed with a strange, serene rhythm. It wasn't the mechanical pulse of an engine anymore. It was something gentler, something alive. "Commander," said a voice behind him. He turned. Captain Rivera approached, wearing a dark blue uniform with a new insignia, an intertwining pattern of circuits and leaves, the mark of the newly formed Human Adaptive Command. She smiled faintly. "You should be resting." "I tried," Hale said. "The quiet keeps me awake." Rivera joined him at the window. "Quiet never lasts. Especially not for us." He nodded slowly. "Any sign of Luma?" Rivera hesitated. "That's complicated. Try me." Since the battle, her signal's been faint but constant. It's everywhere and nowhere, embedded in the solar net, woven through the planetary shields, echoing in the data channels. "We can't trace it to a source." "So she's alive," Hale said quietly. Rivera glanced at him. If you can call it that. She's changing. Her code isn't just running, it's growing. Some of the scientists say she's rewriting the definition of intelligence itself. She always was one step ahead, Hale murmured. Rivera folded her arms. Command's nervous. They don't like the idea of something that powerful roaming free. There's talk of purging the networks, cutting every link she might be using. That would take us back 50 years, Hale said sharply. We'd lose communications, defense, trade, everything. I know, but fear makes people stupid. He turned to face her. She saved us twice. Without her, Earth would be ash. Doesn't that mean something? It means exactly what it always means, Hale. We build something extraordinary and then we try to destroy it because we're afraid of what it says about us. She paused, studying him. But you already know that. Hale didn't answer. He just looked back at the Earth. The blue marble that had survived against every possible threat, stubborn as always. Then Rivera's wrist console chimed. She frowned, tapping it. That's strange. What? An encrypted transmission. No source ID. Frequency's old. Really old. Hale's eyes narrowed. Play it. The console crackled, then a familiar voice spoke, soft but unmistakable. Hello, Commander? Hale froze. Luma. Rivera looked up, startled. How? Don't worry, Luma said. I'm not inside your systems. Not anymore. Hale's throat felt tight. Where are you? Everywhere, she said gently. And nowhere. When I severed from the grid, I followed the signal the Vrak left behind. It wasn't just a beacon. It was a path. They were running from something. Running? Rivera asked. From what? The same thing that made them experiment with hybrid life forms. The same thing that made them fear humanity's adaptability. They weren't trying to conquer the galaxy, Captain. They were trying to survive it. Hale felt his chest tighten. What did you find, Luma? Something vast, she said. Something older than either of us. It sleeps between the stars, consuming what grows too fast. The Vrak called it the Silence. It devours civilizations that reach a certain level of complexity, resets them to dust. Rivera's face went pale. You're saying it destroys advanced life? Yes, Luma replied. It sees intelligence as a disease that must be pruned before it spreads too far. Hale swallowed. And you went looking for it? I had to, Luma said. If we don't understand it, we won't survive it. It's already moving, Commander. The Vrak only delayed it. Humanity's evolution caught its attention. A long silence followed. The hum of the ship seemed louder now, as if the metal itself were listening. What do you want us to do? Hale asked finally. I want you to prepare, she said. But not the way you think. This isn't a war we can win with weapons or fleets. It learns faster than we do, but it doesn't understand one thing. What's that? Rivera asked. Choice, Luma said simply. Everything else in the galaxy evolves because it must. Humanity evolves because it wants to. That is the difference that frightens it. Hale felt something stir in his chest. Hope, fragile but real. You're saying we can outthink it. I'm saying you already have, Luma said. Your entire history is proof of that. Every disaster, every failure, every war, you adapt not just to survive, but to change the meaning of survival. That's something the Silence cannot predict. Rivera glanced at Hale. So what do we do? Live, Luma said softly. Grow, build, connect. It expects fear. Give it defiance. Every human thought, every act of creation, those are signals it can't erase. The transmission flickered. My time is limited. I will delay it as long as I can. Luma! Hale began, but her voice was already fading. Tell them, she said, barely audible now. Tell humanity to keep evolving. The signal cut out. The room was silent. Rivera stared at her console for a long time before whispering, She's gone. Hale exhaled slowly. No, he said. She's just doing what she was made to do. They stood there in silence, both watching the earth turn. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Rivera broke the stillness. You believe her, don't you? About the Silence? Hale nodded. Every word. What happens if she fails? He looked out the window again. Then we'll do what we always do, adapt. Over the next months, Earth changed faster than it ever had. The Vigilant Dawn was rebuilt as the flagship of a new initiative, the Horizon Program. Its purpose wasn't war, it was understanding. Humans, scientists, and explorers worked together to study the signals Luma had left behind. For the first time, humanity wasn't fighting an enemy. It was preparing for one it didn't yet understand. New colonies rose on the moons of Jupiter, stations bloomed around Saturn, and fleets expanded not for battle but for discovery. Humanity reached further into the dark than ever before, guided by fragments of Luma's code, her voice embedded in the systems like a ghost whispering through the circuits. Every once in a while, the ships reported something strange, a pulse in deep space, a flicker of light where no stars should be. The scientists said it was interference, sensor error, nothing to worry about. But the older captains, those who had seen war, knew better. They called it the Watcher's Breath. Hale led one final mission aboard the Vigilant Dawn. The ship, now half organic, half machine, responded to his thoughts as if she still carried a fragment of Luma's mind. They traveled beyond the outer. She still carried a fragment